Welcome back to One's Justice 2. Kurogiri is the latest DLC character and Biking has delivered once again. This character is unique, a lot of fun, and I see the potential for a really strong character. At the same time, I found a few weaknesses to his playstyle, so Biking may have finally released something that's not at all broken this time around. I think I just jinxed myself. Someone's gonna find an infinite. We're gonna take a look at his moves, some of his combos, but most of all, we're gonna let you know if this is a character for you. And this review is brought to you by Manscaped.com. It's a new year, which means a new you, and feeling your best starts by looking your best, and Manscaped has the right tools for you. They hooked me up with the Performance Package 4.0, so let's check it out. First up, we have the Lawnmower. It's an electric, waterproof trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology, which reduces nicks and cuts in the most sensitive regions of the body. It has a cordless charging system, and the LEDs will show you just how much battery you have left. It's good for shaving your face, and it's good for shaving your balls. Trust me, I've done both. Next, we have both the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and the Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray. It's a deodorant for your balls, because your balls smell. If we use deodorant on our armpits, we should definitely be using it down there. It smells way worse. And you got the Reviver that quickly refreshes the area whenever you need it. We also have the Weed Whacker, which is a nose and ear hair trimmer. It's also wireless and uses that same skin-safe technology, so you don't have to worry about tugging or cutting those sensitive nose hairs. When you opt for the full Performance Package 4.0, you get the most bang for your buck. And with their Peak Hygiene plan, you can get replenishments for your favorite products delivered straight to your door hassle-free. And as a bonus, for a limited time, you get all of this plus 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and the Manscaped Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs. So go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping along these 2 free gifts when you use promo code Globku at checkout. Manscaped, always use the right tools for the job. Thank you for sponsoring. Let's start with Kurogiri's normal attacks. His attack buttons on the ground are probably the weakest part of the character. It's a stubby punch that leads into a 3-hit combo, with the last attack side switching with a chance to cancel into some of his moves. Personally, I don't like these attack buttons too much, but it's fair considering how strong his jumping attack is. He just zooms around with incredible speed. Now, it's only one attack, which makes confirming hits into combos really hard, but if it hits the opponent, they're gonna be stunned for a while, so it is possible to follow up with a few options. His yellow attacks are some of the best in the game. Kurogiri turns to smoke and he is armored. And you can also direct his movement, so you can use this to escape certain situations if you don't want to actually counter your opponent. Just be careful because Kurogiri has a huge recovery on whiff, just like most yellow attacks. The attack is pretty fast though. I've caught opponents multiple times by reacting to their yellow attacks with my own yellow attack, just like the old days of the first One's Justice. And the yellow attack in the air is pretty similar to the grounded one, and it has a few options to cancel from, both on block or on hit. Next, let's talk about his unblockable move. Kurogiri extends this tendril of smoke, grabs the opponent, and throws them. You can't really combo from this move. It's one of those unblockables that doesn't give you a combo, but it deals 5,000 points of damage, which is pretty good. Moving on to his quirks, this is where it gets crazy, people. Quirk 1 is Assault Gate. Kurogiri dives underground and moves towards the opponent, emerging and punching them in the face. You can follow this up with a normal jumping attack, or hit the quirk button again for a follow-up that knocks them back down. But from this follow-up, you won't be able to do much other than call an assist or a plus ultra. In the air, he only gets the second part of this quirk, but that's actually a very good thing, because it means that no matter the combo, Kurogiri can always come back to the ground and finish it with a plus ultra move if he wants to. Now, even though Kurogiri dives underground, he is not invulnerable to enemy attacks. He can still get hit. So think of this as a fast moving ability, but it's not like Mirio actually diving underground. Because of this, Quirk 1 is mostly a combo tool. If you want to punish someone from a distance, there are better ways, such as Tilt Quirk 1, the Warp Shot. This is an awesome ability and I hate it. I hate it so much. This is a projectile and it behaves differently depending on the direction that you tilt your stick. If you tilt it to the left, the projectile comes from the left. If you tilt it to the right, the projectile comes from the right. However, if you tilt it up or down, the projectile shows up behind the opponent and knocks them towards you. If you're close enough, you can even start a combo with it. And this thing reaches full screen no problem. Might be the projectile with the longest reach in the game. Now, here's why I hate it. The direction you tilt the stick in is relative to the position of the character and the camera. So if you have this sort of sideways view and you tilt the stick up, you get the left projectile, for instance. This makes it really hard to choose the right direction in the middle of a chaotic battle. And Kurogiri is a character that's very capable of creating that chaos. Kinda wish the stick direction wasn't relative, because this is gonna take a really long time to get used to. This ability only works on the ground. If you try to do it in the air, Warp Shot will become this instead. It doesn't change with the stick direction direction, no matter where you point it, this is always the ability that will come out. The range is a lot smaller, so it's mostly a combo tool, and if it hits the opponent, it bounces them off the ground, but it's pretty hard to follow up with anything afterwards. Quirk 2, Warp Hazard, is a grounded ability that can be charged. After the charge is done, it will track the opponent and unleash some punches. It's got okay range, but the startup is always very slow, no matter how much you charge it. It has 3 stages. If you let go the button immediately, the opponent gets punched once. If you hold it for a little bit, the opponent gets punched twice, and if you hold it for even longer, the opponent gets punched 3 times. But given how long it takes for this ability to start, it's something that you're gonna need assists to combo into if you want to use it in combos. Personally, I think this will mostly be a neutral and pressure tool, especially since it deals some decent guard damage when blocked. In the air, Quirk 2 becomes another projectile, the Warp Wall, a big slow-moving orb that will track the opponent, and if it hits, it will teleport them straight to you. You can also hold down the button of this ability. This will slightly increase the range, and you can also use that delay to bait sidesteps or just until the opponent is in the perfect angle. But if it hits the opponent and teleports them to you, you can start your own aerial combo, no problem. And for the last quirk, we have Warp Raid with Tilt Quirk 2. Kurogiri will teleport behind the opponent if he is within a certain range. Paired up with assists that use projectiles, this can be a really scary ability. Plus, if you tap the button again while teleporting, Kurogiri will come out of that portal with a punch. This is mostly a combo finisher and it deals some very good damage, but it can also be used as a mix-up tool. If the opponent doesn't respect it, they're getting punched. If they do, you might come out of the portal and just throw an unblockable, for example. And the best part is, it works both on the ground and in the air. As long as the opponent is in range, Kurogiri will show up right behind them. This is also his assist, both on the ground and in the air. It's an okay assist. It's good because it tracks the opponent and punches them. So for neutral, it's really good. But for combos, I find it hard to predict where he's gonna punch the opponent to. And with a mid cooldown of 15 seconds, I'd say the assist is just okay. Moving on to his plus ultras. First, we have Bullet Rain, his plus ultra 1. He can only do it on the ground and the punches take a while to come out. But once they do track the opponent and keep following them. Even if they attempt to run away, the ultimate will not stop chasing. If someone is in the air, they have no option but to just guard this, though they can sometimes outrun the ultimate. And the opponent can also just guard once and then air dash right after and outrun your plus ultra that way. So it can be dangerous to use raw against stronger opponents. And then for plus ultra 2, Kurogiri goes underground, but he can still be hit while underground, so this is definitely not a reversal plus ultra. But if he does hit you, this whole animation plays out.
Let's end it all! I won't miss! This is reality.
And now that we know his moves, here are some tips on how to play him. Kurogiri combos are extremely saucy, but before I give you the combos, I gotta explain how some of these links work. First of all is jumping attack. Because he leaves the opponent in hit stun for so long, you can actually link multiple of these by using jump cancels, dashes, or air sidesteps. The hit stun isn't always huge though, so it's really hard to loop this forever. Depending on the angle you hit the opponent, you might need a faster cancel, and you only get one of those every time you leave the ground. So get used to doing something like this. If you're playing Kurogiri, you gotta get used to these cancels. With that in mind, here is his BNB on the ground. I recommend delaying the first jumping attack just a little bit to make the cancel timing easier. And when you land, make sure to jump towards your opponent, otherwise you might drop it there. There is, however, a combo that is even more optimal, and it starts with this link. 2 attacks into yellow into Tilt Quirk 1, pulling the opponent back to you, and then do the combo that we just learned. This link is super tight. You gotta delay a little bit after the yellow attack, but you can't delay too much, otherwise it will drop when you try to attack afterwards. So I don't recommend usually going for this route unless you are close to a wall. When that happens, the timing becomes a lot easier, and this route deals about 3000 more damage, so I'd say it's definitely worth it. Any of these 2 combo routes can easily be turned into a plus ultra route. All you gotta do is change the end of the combo. Instead of doing Tilt Quirk 2, you do a yellow attack into Quirk 1, and make sure you're mashing that plus ultra button so it starts as soon as you land. His air routes are quite interesting, and you gotta be flexible because depending on the number of jumps you've done before starting the combo or the angle of your jumping attack, you might be going for some different routes. The very basic route is just jumping attack, throw the orb to teleport them to you, and finish with Quirk 1. That said, you gotta keep in mind that if you still have that double jump available, you might be able to throw another jumping attack, or even a couple of more, and that increases the combo damage. Ideally, you will catch your opponent at an angle going down, which allows you to land and dish out even more damage by utilizing all the cancels that you have available. Kurogiri is a high damage character, but his combos are somewhat technical. Not the most technical character in the roster, not at all, but also not the most beginner friendly. If you like a challenge, Kurogiri might be the character for you. The teleports and the mind games he can play with his abilities give him a really high skill ceiling. We're gonna be seeing new Kurogiri tech for months to come. He does have a few weaknesses though that Kurogiri players will have to play around. First, because of his stubby attacks, he cannot shut down approaches super well. The attack button is smaller than most other characters, and all of his abilities have enough of a startup that make him kinda weak in scrambles. The one tool he has to counter this is his strong attack, which is very good, but when that whiffs, he's in trouble. Also, it can be really hard for Kurogiri to catch characters with very high mobility. His abilities have decent tracking, but they don't predict where the opponent is gonna go, so it could happen that you throw an ability, but by the time it comes out, the opponent isn't there anymore. Well-timed air dodges can also negate tracking on a lot of his abilities, so even if you're not playing a high mobility character, you can still counter a lot of his gimmicks. But that's kind of where his downsides end. He's a high damage character, has incredible mix-up, mobility, and even zoning. I would say Kurogiri shines the most as a counter zoner actually. So if you have trouble against zoners, I'd say Kurogiri is probably worth picking up.
Nothing left. Maybe I'll kill you.
And that's my review for Kurogiri. If you've tried out the character, let me know what you thought of him in the comments down below. And don't forget about today's sponsor, Manscaped. Click the link below to get 20% off, free international shipping, and 2 free gifts with code Globku at checkout. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you next time. Bye!